I lost a pound a day doing this, 3 full pounds. And I can only imagine for someone who has a lot more body fat on them, how much more beneficial this would be for them.
For the rugged, for the rugged. Been a little too nice to y'all. Now I gotta up price for y'all. Snake eyes on dice for y'all. Shoulders on ice for y'all.
Hello, what's going on? My name is Miguel, and I'm coming at you from my rooftop because I'm actually going to be moving soon. So these are going to be the last few times I actually get to see this rooftop and this view. So the remainder of my videos in New York are going to be on this rooftop, aside from maybe the vlog that I make where I show you guys exactly where it is that I'm going, but expect these next few videos to be on my roof. And now let's kick into it. What is this video going to be about? It is going to be about, I forgot for a second. It's going to be about the fact that I did not eat for 3 entire days. I did a 3-day water fast. What does that mean? It means I did not consume food for an entirety of 72 hours. In actuality, it was 70 hours, but the main guy who I follow who talks about this, his name is Sim Land on YouTube. He said he normally breaks his fast around the 70-hour mark, but 3 days is still 3 days. On Thursday, my last meal was at 12, this past Thursday. Last meal was at 12, and I did not eat again until 10 a.m. on Sunday morning. And even then, it was a very small meal, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But the first question probably comes up is, why did I do it? So I did not do it in order to get ripped or any sort of aesthetic reasons or anything like that. I do not show off my physique much, but I definitely don't have any issues in that department. I have strength. I have a low body fat percentage. And a lot of this was accomplished just with the fact that I'm pretty strict with my diet for the most part. I don't eat a lot. I've been doing close to 1 meal a day. After doing this, I'm actually going to start doing 1 meal a day, and I'll talk about that. It has to do with all of the benefits that you get from not eating much. And because of this, it's just, I did all of this purely for the health reasons and the spiritual reasons as well, which we'll get into, but not as much because reasons that I just did. The same reason why I'm not going to get too much into the spiritual side of things is the same reason why I can't tell you why I won't get into it. So let's just go ahead and talk about why I did it. So I actually have an article on here. I'll try to remember to post the article inside of YouTube. Actually, you know what? Forget that. I'm not going to post this article because I feel like you should be able to go and do your own research and be able to use Google on your own for a proactive reason. So I'm not going to give you the article. I want you to go ahead and Google this stuff yourself. But there are a ton of benefits from fasting for prolonged periods of time, and you actually don't get these unless you fast for 3 full days with water. So actually, I should start off with saying how exactly you do it. So obviously you don't eat for a full 70 hours, 72 hours. But when you're drinking water, you also want to make sure you put salts in it, sea salt, not table salt, but sea salt in it. You can either use sea salt or pink Himalayan sea salt. And the reason for that is because through all the water that you're drinking, you're naturally going to start peeing a lot. And because of that, you will start peeing out all of the electrolytes inside of your body, which is a bad thing. You can become dehydrated very fast if you do that. The way you stop that from happening is by putting a bit of sea salt inside of your water. They say a pinch because I think they're referring to a glass of water, but I carry around this like liter of water all the time. I've shown it in videos before. So I put a pretty decent amount until I can like taste it, is basically the way that I measure whether or not I'm doing it correctly. If I can taste the sea salt at least a little bit in the water, then I know that there's enough sea salt in there. Aside from that, honestly, you just don't eat. Whether or not you train is entirely up to you. Most people who talk about doing 3-day fasts say that they train while they do it. Me personally, and I'll talk more about this, I lost pretty much all of my energy on the second day, so I chose not to train. I went for a little bit of walks. I went for walks on day 2 and on day 1 and day 2. Sorry if you can hear all the sirens, but I chose not to go lifting. I chose to keep even my work like I didn't work these 3 days. And I think it's better to set aside a period of time, where not many people are going to be, I always start burping when I start talking a lot. But I think it's best to set aside a period of time where you're not going to be doing much during your 3-day fast. So it can be not only a fast from food, but a fast from energy expenditure in general. So during this time, I was spending a lot of time catching up on a couple of movies, some documentaries, and a ton of podcasts, educational YouTube videos, all sorts of stuff. I was basically just lounging around the house. And what I also noticed is that I was doing some other stuff that could have contributed to this, but it was very hard for me to go to sleep because of how hungry I was. I don't know if this is correlated because there was a bunch of other stuff going on at the same time as well, but I was definitely struggling to fall asleep. And right after I broke my fast, not only did I fall asleep much faster, but I woke up today feeling well rested. So I broke my fast literally yesterday. And man, it was just the second I woke up, I was like, yes, that was sleep. Also slept for 10 full hours, whereas the first night I went to sleep on an empty stomach, I only slept 6 hours, which is not enough for me. I'm definitely someone who needs at least 8. And the night after, I tried to go to sleep way earlier, but I was laying in bed for about 2 hours. And then I woke up, went to the store to get melatonin, took that, and then laid in bed for another 2 hours. And before I finally fell asleep around 12, and then once again woke up at 6, which is not cool. That is not for me. I woke up tired, like I was definitely not rested, and it just wasn't cool. But the second I ate, I ended up getting what I needed, which was a nice 10 hours of sleep. So maybe it's correlated, maybe not. I'm not sure. I'll figure it out next time I do this and just not do the other stuff that I was doing, which honestly just can't talk about on this channel. So that is basically how you do it. I mean, it's not rocket science. You don't eat and you drink salt water. Whether or not you choose to exercise or continue working on projects that you have going on is entirely up to you. Some people think it's beneficial because you're busy. I don't know if I would do that. I would do it while I'm traveling, because that's a nice, it's not so much going on where it would make me start to feel dizzy or anything like that. I'm just walking around going from point A to point B. I could easily do that, which is why I was going on walks, just to get myself moving. Now that we got into the details of how to actually do the fast, now let's get into what the benefits are of doing a fast like this. So I have the article in front of me, like I was saying, and the benefits are amazing. The way people describe it is like hitting the reset button on your entire immune system, your body in general. They say you haven't proved, okay. Sorry, water dripped on my laptop, which is not cool. Anyways, so it says improve brain health and cognition. You slow the age process, because what happens is you trigger what's called a state of autophagy. What autophagy is basically it's all of your white blood cells that are sick. All of the sick white blood cells, the cancerous white blood cells inside of your body they start to die, and they start to get eaten by the healthy white blood cells, or you pee them out, something like that. One of those things happen. Basically, they're no longer inside of your body, and you start to create new white blood cells. This starts to happen around the second day of your fast, and it happens throughout the third day. Yeah, whatever. It happens that last 24 hours of your fast is basically what I'm saying. So, which is why you also slow and reverse the aging process, because the only reason you start to age is because you have old white blood cells in your body. But when you kick those out, you stop that process. You have improved body composition because obviously you're going to lose fat. I lost a pound a day doing this, 3 full pounds. I gained 1.5 pounds back after finally eating, but still 3 pounds is an intense weight loss. And I can only imagine for someone who has a lot more body fat on them, how much more beneficial this would be for them. Because the only reason I only lost 3 is because I have a low body fat percentage. If you have a lot, then you can lose a lot. Like, I've heard miracle stories of stuff like this happening for people. So you also improve your digestion because you're giving your digestive system a break. Think about like how much time your digestive system is spent working because of the fact that you aren't fasting. People eat every single day and they never take into account like the fact that their stomach is working round the clock, always. Intermittent fasting is a way to give your digestive system intermittent breaks, but when you do a 3-day fast, you give your digestive system a 3-day break from having to do any sort of work, and that naturally is going to improve digestion. Like I said, kicks out all of cancerous cells, and there's apparently psychological benefits and all that stuff. But the other thing is that they also say that there's a saying where when you remove anything from your stomach, you make room for God. So praying is a very good practice during this fasting period. Meditating is freaking incredible when you've done a 24-hour fast. But I couldn't even get the energy or the willpower to get myself to meditate while I was in that last 48 hours of fasting. But what I noticed is that as I was in that 48 hours, it almost felt like I was forced into a state of meditation. I was much more calm as things were happening. I was much more accepting of everything. It felt like an active meditation in and of itself, instead of something that I needed to actively do and sit down and meditate. The act of fasting for 3 days is meditation in and of itself. At least that's what it felt like for me. And yeah, it's like hitting a huge reset button on your immune system. I highly suggest everyone do it. The suggestion that I've been seeing all over the internet is that this is something you want to do 2 to 3 times a year in order to get the maximum benefits from this. And aside from that, they also suggest doing Nomad, which is 1 meal a day. This doesn't actually mean eating only once a day. It means pushing your eating window anywhere from 1 to 2 hours, getting all of the calories that you need within that time, as well as all the micronutrients and all that stuff. The reason for that is because this is how our ancestors used to eat. They would go hunt, get to the animal, bring it back to their tribe, and they would all eat as a unit. They would be snacking on little things like fruits and nuts, berries, stuff like that, and then hunt, get the animal, bring it back. They'd cook that animal right then and there because they obviously don't have refrigerators, so they have to eat right there on the spot. So they'd eat the animal, and then they would all chill for the rest of the day. This is how our ancestors used to eat, which means this is how our bodies operate at its peak. So this is what I'm going to start implementing. I was doing something similar, but I was eating a very small meal at the beginning of the day and eating my big meal later on. Now I'm just going to condense it within that 2-hour range. And I've heard a lot of different things I've heard that the best time you should do this is towards the beginning of the day, because that is when the hunting would happen. That is when animals are actually out and about for the tribe to actually go hunt. So I've heard that. I've also heard that some people eat midday to later in the afternoon, because usually people get sleepy after they've eaten that much. I know I am in that boat, which is why I'm putting my eating window from 3 to 5. And some people eat later at night for whatever reason. I would just suggest not doing that, because you don't want your body to be in a digestive mode while you are sleeping, because then your body isn't actually resting. It's spending its time digesting. No, I'm not a rapper. I just rhyme from time to time. So that is what I would suggest in terms of doing 1 meal a day. Maybe I'll make a video onto that in the future after I do this for a while to let you know how it is working out for me. But doing a 3-day fast is amazing, and I would suggest it to everyone and anyone who is willing to give it a try. Definitely lead yourself up to it with some intermittent fasting first. Try going an entire day without eating. And if you are able to do both of those things, go ahead and try a 2-day fast. And if you are capable of doing that, go ahead and do a 3-day fast. This is how I approached it. And I was able to make it through the entire 3 days. I would strongly suggest you do the same. So thanks for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any questions or any other advice about this topic, go ahead and leave it in the comment section below. I respond to every single comment, and go ahead and like this video. Check out some of the other ones on this channel. And until next time, peace.